Imagine a world where balance is no longer a feat, where men and women finally reach a place of camaraderie, spiritual compatibility, sexual harmony, and love is revolutionized. The atomic boom of pride becomes a thing of the past. What if?
You are now tuned into TDSC Radio.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Owning She, where we liberate women, showcase art, and delve into those sometimes unpleasant yet necessary discussions. I'm your host, Shena Vee, sex educator, author, and Stay Sexy affiliate, on a mission to release sexual inhibitions, boost femininity, and inspire women to be their best self in friendships and relationships. And as always, I hope you all are having a fantastic week so far. If you would like to support this podcast, help us grow, and continue to bring you great topics, visit ShenaLV.com/donate. Your support helps me to continue facilitating women all over the world and finding their voice. It's time to own she. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Owning She. I'm your host, Shena LV, and happy February to you. You know how we do it here at Owning She. We like to give more than a single view on a subject matter. And so tonight I'm giving you the male perspective on what it is men really want, which is not what women really think it is. So I have Frank Rivers with ViewFromManCave here with me tonight. Welcome, Frank, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So from what I learned about you, I have been doing a little research, and we share similar views on love and respect and relationship. And people like us are, and the message that we give are so necessary in today's time. And I just appreciate what you're doing so much. And I just want to say, keep going with that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you do the same. You know, when we met, when you reached out to me, I started following you. You know, I subbed to your podcast and I've been listening, a lot. So I'm a huge fan of your work. So I'm very appreciative of you and what you do. And I want you to continue to do your thing as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this. So can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and the View from the Man Cave?
Sure. So I'm View from the Man Cave. I'm Frank. Actually, View from the Man Cave is my YouTube channel where I talk about all things related to masculinity and manhood, responsibility and respect, provision and protection. So we cover the entire spectrum of manhood over there, relationships, politics, sports, a little bit of everything. But me personally, I'm just a regular guy. A country boy from North Carolina. I was in the Army for a little bit, so I traveled the world, and then I settled here in Washington, D.C., and I've been here ever since. So that's about it.
Okay, cool. I actually had the pleasure of listening to a few of your episodes, and I'm like, you know what? Right on. Right on. I really appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and address it. We're going to go ahead and get into this thing. So I'm going to ask you, why do women feel as though being aggressive or having this masculine energy or this savage mentality is a turn on? Can you tell us from a male perspective?
Sure. I think that a lot of women, are doing great things. They're owning businesses. They're getting money and things like that. Very successful. And I think that, these are attributes and traits that I think a lot of people associate with power and with respect, being a savage, being aggressive, getting what you want, by any means, not playing the back, just going out and getting it at any cost. And I think that's just the wave that we're on right now. That's the energy that's out here. So a lot of women are seeing that, they're seeing prominent people in the public eye who display those traits, who are very successful and get a lot of respect from people. So I think that's one of the reasons why. Also, as it relates to relationships, I think that there's been a shift in the dating scene, especially in the Black community, where a lot of brothers are just, taking a different stance now. A lot of brothers have this mindset that, they're the prize and that they should be chased, they should be pursued and things like that. So a lot of women are just saying, hey, if I want a guy, I can't sit back and wait for him to come to me anymore. I have to be aggressive. I have to pursue him. I have to be that savage and make myself stand out, in that way so that I can, potentially get the guy that I want. So I think it's been promoted. And I think that, women who want relationships in certain areas and certain environments feel like that's what they have to do in order to get what they want.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that kind of piggybacks off of one of your episodes. I was listening to actually your latest episode, which was talking about the mama's boys and the men that are basically out here with this feminine energy and are looking for respect from women. So that kind of ties into as well the next question. Do you think women have lost their way and could care less about relationships? And I think that's kind of what you were heading towards. So can you expand a little bit on that?
Sure. So I would have to say yes and no. Yes, I do believe that women have lost their way as it relates to relationships. And I would say no to, are women at a point where they just, don't want relationships anymore. And I'll explain that. So I think women have lost their way because, being a man and, and understanding the mentality of the man cave, I'm a huge fan of sports. So, when you watch sports, it teaches you a lot about life. And in sports, it doesn't really matter how good you are, how much talent you have. A foundational principle in sports is making sure that you have the right game plan, the right strategy. You can have all the talent in the world. You can have the best players, but if you don't have the right strategy and the other team, your opponent does, you run a high risk of taking an L. And I think that the situation with women is very similar to that. I think women, especially sisters, let me say this, Black women are beautiful. Black women are doing so many, things out here, owning businesses. There are more Black women graduating college, getting degrees in college than any other group of people in this country. Black women are showing up and showing out, in a lot of different ways. And so I think that, they have the talent, but I think a lot of sisters just have the wrong strategy. And I think that's because they're listening to some of the wrong people. I think that there is a movement now where a lot of sisters are trying to go back to femininity. They're trying to come back home to that. And there are a lot of ladies out here who are claiming to be coaches and influencers in that regard that are really finessing. And they're teaching women how to finesse. And so, brothers now, we're very intelligent. We don't really get as much props with our intelligence as we should. So a lot of brothers are seeing the games that some of the sisters are playing, trying to finesse situations and into relationships and getting things out of men that they want without having really to give of themselves. So, the strategy is wrong. So I think that they have lost their way in that regard. I think if they have a proper game plan, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later on how to, present themselves, how to posture themselves, I think sisters will get a better result. And I would say to your other question, I would say no. I think that I think sisters really do want relationships. I think they want love. I think that they're kind of frustrated because of some of the things that they're doing isn't really working for them. But I still do think that they want love. They want marriage. They want relationships. They want to be in a situation where, they can be aligned and cooperate with and complement a masculine man and can get that balance, within the realm of a healthy relationship. So I do think women want that. I think women are, because of some of the successes that they're having, they're, doing it in unconventional ways now. A lot of ladies are going to school, getting their businesses up and running, getting their money right, and then looking forward on the back end, as opposed to our parents and grandparents who, prided themselves off of, being married in their early 20s and having a bunch of kids and things like that. So I think sisters today really, still want that, but they are more open now to doing it in ways that are deemed unconventional.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I totally agree there. I also think that it's a result of what we were just talking about how women, you don't have this, I guess, masculine man in the house, and that results in a lot of masculinity. But I do see a lot of women that are trying to come back home, come back to that feminine nature, come back to that womanhood within themselves so that they can build a better relationship, because we want to be better. Women want to be better. We want to do more. But as far as like women building businesses and, trying to get it right and all that, I think that kind of stemmed from, again, the non-masculine male as to why so many women are, they have to just go and get it because they don't feel protected, in a sense, I guess I could say,
Right.
when they are pursuing relationships or someone is pursuing them. So what is... And that falls into, I guess, a respect aspect. We are lacking respect.
Right.
Major, a big deal in relationships when it comes to us as a culture. So what is your definition of respect?
Sure thing. So respect for me is just holding someone, in a high regard, in a high level of esteem, based off of their accomplishments, based off of what they do. And that kind of went to, my last show, because a lot of Black men, want respect that they haven't earned. And, respect is a foundational need for men. Men, if you ask a bunch of men, they'll tell you that the majority of them will tell you that they would rather have a respect than love. Respect is very important to a man, but respect is based off of tangibles. It's based off of accomplishments. It's based off of what you've done, and what you've been successful at. And I think a lot of brothers have dropped the ball there when they come into these relationships, or you see them on social media and they talk about relationships and they talk about what they want and what they expect women to do for them, but they haven't really earned that. And, that goes back to what you were talking about with the femininity, because, femininity is something that has to be protected. It has to be appreciated, it has to be loved, and it has to be nurtured. And men, we nurture those things by, providing and protecting and giving our, and providing our masculine balance to balance her out. And so it's important that we have to earn that respect. And I want, everybody who's going to listen to this at some point, you have to understand that respect is something that you earn. You have to earn her respect. If you want her to cooperate with you, if you want her to compliment you, to give you that feminine balance that you need, that nurturing, that nourishment, you have to earn that. You have to earn her respect and her willingness to do that. So I think, it's really something that, I think brothers have to focus on that part, not basically what you can get from her, but what you can present to her to make her comfortable and vulnerable enough to give you the things that you need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So would you say, in regards to respect, that men are looking to, like you said, you mentioned that they are looking to be chased. They are the prize. The women, I think nowadays are doing so much. They want the love and the relationship and the family dynamic so much that they are pretty much putting forth more effort, I guess, than they should in these relationships. And the respect factor is more so that the women are lessening themselves or putting themselves at a lower plateau in order to please this man. So why, and I know this is totally off subject, but I guess not, but why do men feel as though, that they have to be chased? Where did that come from?
See, there are a lot of philosophies out here, on social media. And, men have been told that, especially in a lot of highly populated areas, Black men are being told that it's one of them for every 10, 20, 30 women in places like New York, here in DC, Atlanta, LA, wherever, Chicago, Houston, places like that. And so they've been told that, hey, it's one of you for all of these women. And the majority of these men, or some of these men, have canceled themselves out because maybe they have a record, or maybe they live an alternative lifestyle sexually, or just they've kind of placed themselves out of the dating market, based on their experiences and who they are as men. So a lot of these men are being fed this, and they're being told that, hey, you're the one with all of this value. You're the prize. You know what I mean? So a lot of these brothers are listening to that, and they're taking that mindset. And they're saying, hey, look, if there are all these women out here and I'm a good brother, I don't have a record. I don't have, a whole bunch of kids by a whole bunch of women. I have a decent job. I make good money. My credit is solid. I have my pick. I can have my choice of women. I can choose to have more than one woman if I wanted to. And so a lot of them, are absorbing that energy where they're saying, okay, because of that, because I'm this prize, women need to chase me. Women need to pursue me to let me know that there's somebody that I should be interested in. You know what I mean? And so it's really messing up the game, because I think it's really taking women out of their natural energy, out of their natural position as women. And so, it's forcing women to kind of overextend themselves to prove that, they are worth and they deserve, love and companionship. And a lot of times when women overextend themselves like that, it increases the risk of them getting hurt. It increases the risk of their expectations not being met. And then a lot of times, sisters will do that, and then, they'll get hurt. Once they get hurt like that, once, twice, maybe 3 times, then their heart can tend to be cold. And then you have these movements where there's a lot of gender warring going on, and, all these brothers are bad and they're doing this, and then the brothers are responding and doing that. So it really messes up the game. But yeah, we have to get back to that. We have to get back to the natural order of things. I believe in order. I believe in tradition and culture and a code. And that says to me that men, have to be pursuers. Men have to put themselves in a position financially, spiritually, emotionally to be able to, to lead a woman in a masculine way. And then they go pursue the woman that they want.
Oh, yes. And I'm going to go back to your last episode. You had mentioned something similar about that. And so what do you think is the biggest misconception on both men and women's parts when it comes to functioning properly in a relationship? Why is there such a disconnect? Because you have, like you said, you have the men who feel like, the woman has to do so much nowadays to even equate or even be good enough for him. And that devalues us as women so much nowadays. And I'm gonna just keep it real. You got men out here who are telling women that they need to make this amount of money. Right. They need to have accomplished this amount of, things. They need to have this kind of degree. They need to be this type of mother. They need to look this certain way. They need to dress this certain way. And it's like, when does the woman have time to even be woman? Right. I'm not sure exactly when this whole shift changed, but it's definitely here. And I think that women are confused because, some men say that they want a traditional woman and they want women to be feminine and to focus on that. Women will say, hey, I'll do that. I'll be feminine. I'll be soft and I'll do all these things that you're saying that you want. And then when they do that, then men are saying, okay, but no, you have to do this now. You have to be out here. You have to be getting it like me. You have to make as much as I do, maybe more. You have to, be willing to do these things. And so I think a lot of brothers are consistently and constantly moving the goalpost. And so women are confused. They don't really know what to do. And they're trying to adjust to what these men are saying. And, they're finding it very difficult to do so. So, I think one thing that we need to do is we need to, be consistent. Be solid, fair, firm and consistent in what we believe. And then allow women to say, okay, this is something that I can line up with, or this is something that I can't. But we make it, very next to impossible for her to do that if we keep moving the goalpost around. And, women feel like, hey, like you said, we gotta do this. We gotta do that. We gotta make sure, we do everything to make this man happy because we want that. And that's what leads us to kind of just getting with somebody and sticking there, because most of the time it's like women have waited so long or to even get into a relationship or something semi-decent rather. And then so once they get in it, they're willing to stay there and linger on, and it's hurting them in the process. It's tearing them down in the process. And so I wanted to tell women from, my perspective that we have to, and I know we talk about this all the time on the Owning She, but we have to embody who it is we are as women and stand firm on who it is that we are as women, because we cannot go into a relationship or any type of companionship, not even talking about marriage yet,
without even one knowing who we are as a person, not knowing self. So when we get comfortable enough with self, and it may take a little while, it may take a little longer to get someone that you are willing to work with, in a sense, for a period of time. Okay, it may take a little while, but that's okay. It is okay to be alone. It is okay to have to wait, but don't rush into these situations
Right.
and feel like you have to stay in them because the person, like I said, is semi-decent, but you're not really being fed. You are being drained more so than anything. So,
Right.
That's kind of my little spill to the women tonight. So I don't know if you kind of answered the question, but the biggest misconception both men and women have when it comes to functioning properly. And like you said about the order, could you explain that a little bit more? What order is? What does that mean for a man? Because women want to hear from the men. What is it that you guys want? What does that mean to you?
Sure. I'll answer that, and then I'll go back to your original question too to make sure that I answered it. But order for a man is just, men feel like, we want to lead. We feel like that is our divine energy. That is our divine right to be leaders. And so many of us, who understand culture and code, we have put ourselves in positions through rites of passage, growing up, learning things, by trial and error. We've put ourselves in a position to be leaders in our household. We want to be the provider and the protector in our household. And so men want a woman to allow him to do that. And men want women to support that and to complement that. So does that mean that a woman doesn't have a voice? Absolutely not. The woman is the greatest gift ever bestowed to a man. So her opinion is important. How she feels and what she needs is very important. But men still have this yearning desire to lead. And so we work best in relationships where we are able to do that, and where we have a woman by our side who loves us, who respects us, or who supports us and allows us to do that. So, men, we struggle with women who are very argumentative. We struggle with women who don't really hold themselves accountable. It's never their fault. So there's a certain level of order that we need in a relationship. We have to feel like we're a leader, and leading in the right way. There's a right way and a wrong way to lead. And so obviously I'm not talking about the wrong way, ordering people around, being disrespectful, being verbally abusive and things like that. But just saying, hey, taking ownership of the household, taking ownership of what we've built together and saying, hey, I'm going to provide for this. I'm going to protect this within my masculine energy. Those are things that men need. That's what we deem as order. Us leading, us providing, us protecting, the women that we love, complimenting us, cooperating with us, understanding the vision that we have for the family, for the entire household, the children, everything, understanding the vision and the mission that we have, and the women that we love, being on board with that and doing everything within her femininity to complement that and to cooperate with that. So that's what I feel like order is. That's what I think men in general believe that order is. And I'll go back to your original question as well about the misconceptions. I think that a huge misconception that men and women have in relationships is that you have to be someone else besides yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of us are trying to be somebody that we're not. And that's one of the reasons why we're failing in our relationships, because we're not presenting our true selves in these relationships. You're doing something and trying to be something that you think he likes. You think that men like women who are shaped a certain way and who have hair down their back, even if it's not theirs. And you think that men want you to be overly sexual, and things like that. And so a lot of men really don't feel that way. A lot of men are like, look, we love your natural beauty. I've been in, I have friends and we have conversations and even when I'm doing work on my show, a lot of brothers are like, Frank, we love sisters natural. We want to see that natural hair. We want to see that natural skin tone. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Sisters are beautifully melanated. We want to see that. Let that pop. You don't have to put on a whole bunch of makeup and wear your hair. Look, I don't think it's a place for a brother to tell a woman what she should do with her hair. But what I've heard from brothers is that, hey, look, we love our sisters and we love them in their natural state. You know what I mean? They're naturally beautiful. They're naturally shapely. We want to see that. She doesn't have to go out and buy all this stuff and enhance it and things like that for us to get our attention. You know what I mean? So, right. and men too, you know, because a lot of men feel like, hey, these sisters out here, Frank, they only want thugs. They only want, you know, Walmart Tavius or Travion. And, you know, so I got to act hard and, you know, wear a wife beater and show and get 2 tats and, you know what I mean? Things like that. And I have to act a certain way in order to get women. And when you talk to women, that's not what women are saying. Like, you know, women are saying, look, I don't want that. I want a brother who can hold his own. But, you know, a lot of sisters are saying, hey, we're sapiosexuals out here. We love brothers who are intelligent. We love brothers who can teach us something, who can take us to, you know, different levels and show us things that we didn't know before that can help us to become better people, better women. So I think that we really have to stop, you know, falling for these misconceptions about who we think the other side wants us to be, and really just have a discussion with them and be ourselves. It's okay. Like a lot of times when folks get in these relationships and they don't work, you know, they never really know if it could have worked, but they never really showed that person their true self. They presented something to them that wasn't really them. So you don't know where they would have worked or not, because they don't know who you are. You showed them a perception of what you thought they wanted to see. And a lot of brothers do that too. Like we'll get in relationships and we'll do something for, our young, our lady, because we think that's what she wants. And then if she's been honest, she'll say, well, baby, you didn't have to do all that. I didn't want that. You know what I mean? I'm appreciative that you were willing to give it to me, but all I needed was this. And so we have to get to a place where we're willing to communicate, be vulnerable, and put it all out there on the table and be comfortable in our own skin, being who we are naturally.
I agree with that so much. I see that so often. And in fact, I've actually been that person, before in the past that tried to do everything to mount up to what this man could want and what this man could be. And that hurts you more than anything, because you're not being fulfilled yourself. So, if you're constantly in a position of trying to please the other person and you're not getting anything in return, that's a recipe for disaster, right there. Mm-hmm. So, I totally agree with that. And also, I think a big misconception is just like the last question, it's respect. We have to learn how to respect one another. And I'm going to talk to the ladies. Ladies, I say this all the time, but we have to learn how to talk to men with respect. I know sometimes men do things that we don't like. I know they do things that we don't agree with, but there's a way to approach the situation and there's a way to approach him. Because like I say all the time, we are wired differently. So when we complain about certain things, what they hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, but what you guys hear is, you're not happy, and if you're constantly complaining, men feel like, well, you're not happy, or there's nothing I can do to make you happy, or I feel inadequate, so we got to learn that respect and to give praise to where it's due in the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that on both sides, we're afraid, we're fearful of one another. So a lot of relationships now are just chess games. What can I do to get the most out of her while I give the absolute least possible? And a lot of ladies are doing some of the same things. They're saying, look, what can I do to get what I want from him without having to open myself up to be vulnerable because I'm afraid of being hurt? And I understand that sentiment. I think if you're old enough, if you've lived long enough, you've been hurt in a relationship, whether you're male or female, somebody broke your heart. You had high expectations for a relationship and it didn't meet those expectations. That's a part of life. But in other areas of our life, we don't move like that. If we lose a job, we don't say, hey, I'm not going to work ever again. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to do. No, we say, look, okay, why did I lose it? You regroup. You say, okay, I'll apply for other jobs. If I need some other education to kind of help me put myself in a better spot, then I'll do that. And I'll go out here and I'll get back in the game. You know what I mean? So I think, we're very fearful of each other. And unfortunately, as content creators, as podcasters, we have to take more of a responsibility of promoting positive energy. I'm a firm believer in African spirituality, in the Kemetic sciences. And I understand that, thoughts become things. That's a foundational principle in African spirituality. Thoughts become things. So what you think and what you speak is what you manifest. So if you feel like, all these brothers out here are trash and, none of them can be faithful. They don't want to work. They got all these babies. If this is what you think, if this is what you speak, you're going to manifest that energy. But if you say, hey, regardless of some of the brothers out here who are doing that, there are brothers out here who love sisters and who are out here doing great things and want to be in a committed relationship, want to be a husband, want to be an active father. If you think these things and you speak them, you can manifest that in your life. So I think that we have to get to a point where we're not as fearful of one another and where we can trust. I know that's a long road. I know that's a hard road because, we're so used to putting those walls up and defending ourselves, defending our heart. But in order for us to get what we want, we have to be willing to do things that we've never done. And a part of that is working on our traumas and making sure that we're whole when we're out here in this dating market trying to find somebody that we can build with.
Oh, yeah. So I couldn't agree more with that. You just said working on our traumas. That is something that I talk about all the time. We have to get to a place where we fix us. Right. We can't fix each other. We have to fix us. And when we become one with ourselves, that builds a way to view other people and or relationship in a more peaceful manner, in a more logical standpoint. You could be more rational in your thinking when you know who you are in yourself. And it's a long road. It's a long process. Every day, women and men are still learning about themselves and how to be in relationships. And a lot of us haven't had examples, right, of respectful or long lasting relationships or something that functions properly. Who are we to say really what functioning properly really is? I just feel like if you do what's best for you and if it's working for you, don't make something sour that doesn't need to be. I think I talked about this on my last episode. We go through several, different phases and go through different relationships. And I think you mentioned earlier, when you think about it, you go back and say, hey, this relationship really wasn't that bad. Now I'm 6 relationships down the road and this is like, whoa, So we have to learn, that patience and with one another because it's not our fault. And I think we take a lot of our angers, our cultural angers out on each other. We take a lot of that, generational pain out on one another. And that kind of just spoils the pot for everything because it's not the man or the woman's fault when there's an issue. We have to look at where it started. We have to pluck that out and then come back and meet in the middle. So it all comes down to, again, respect, honesty, understanding. We have to exercise patience in this type of situation, especially where we are nowadays in this day and time. So, I really appreciate your outlook on that. What would you say, or what advice, I guess, would you give to the ladies who are looking to fine tune their behaviors and look for a long lasting guy? What is something that women can do? Because we have so many women out here, so many women who are really negative, really, angry and really upset about so much. So what can they do to fine tune themselves? How can they be better and just drop that anger because, nothing's going to get through that way.
Right. I think that what women can do is forgive themselves and forgive those who didn't meet their expectations. I think that's very important because I think a lot of women are carrying a lot of emotional and spiritual baggage, from failed relationships. There are a lot of soul ties out there that they're tied to brothers who didn't really do right by them. And it's really, shifted their way of thinking and it's made a lot of them upset and cold. And brothers out here in this dating market, they can pick up on that. They can see that. And so I think what women should do is just basically, focus on yourself. Stop trying to figure out how to get a guy and just try to figure out how to be the best you. You know what I mean? And do things that you love and appreciate and things that bring value to your life. And I think when you do that, you'll put yourself in a position to meet someone who has similar interests. And that'll start off the connection right there. Work on your traumas. We've all had, certain levels of trauma, whether it be, abuse, physical, sexual, whatever. Maybe our father wasn't in the home. Maybe we grew up in foster care and things like that. There's a lot of traumas that we all have, but just continue to work on yourself. Do that self-work, do that soul work. And I think a better you will put you in a position to find a better guy that you're looking for. So I would do that. I would continue. Like I'm in a room on Clubhouse, a brother of mine who does this room. His name is King Art. And we have this room where it's called Ask a Black Man Anything. And we do it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Clubhouse in the evening. And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there are over 1,000 people in that room. And I would say probably 900 of them are women. And they come up on the stage and they ask us questions about everything, related to relationships and, about what do men think? And I think that that's very important to kind of, have candid and have candid conversations with men and listen to men, and really listen to us and understand what we're trying to say and accept that, because we love you, we appreciate you, we respect you for what you do. And we want you to know how we feel. And I think once we get to a point where you can listen to us and kind of appreciate where we're coming from based on our experiences, our level of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, then I think, it'll put us in a better position to love one another and support and compliment one another. So just to wrap it up, I think women should, continue to love themselves, love the woman that you are, look in the mirror, when you're at home, you get out the shower, look at yourself in the mirror, get you a full body mirror or something, look at yourself naked and appreciate that woman. Love that woman that you see in that mirror. And if you don't, if there's some things that you see that you don't necessarily like that you can change that for yourself. But fall in love with that woman. And when you fall in love with yourself, you're going to keep certain types of energy away from you because you put so much value on yourself. And a brother will come who sees that value and is willing to, to line up with it, but provide for it and protect it. So just focus on yourself. Everything else, will take care of itself. If you're humble, you have a good heart, you focus on things that will help you become a better person. Everything will take care of itself.
I totally agree. Take care of self. And I also just wanted to say to even just the male and female out there, both of us, we both need to take care of ourselves. And fellas, we understand, we love you and we understand that it is hard for you all out there, and coming home to a peaceful home is just paramount. Right. And, and we all have difficulties that we face. It's all things that we go through on a daily basis, but try not and take that out on your partner. Instead, lend a listening ear and be more receptive to the love. We have to learn how to love and love correctly. Don't just tolerate, but just, learn how to love. So I really appreciate everything that you said, actually. And you mentioned Clubhouse, and I have seen that room and I've been in that room several times. Like you said, and there's so many people in there. I listened to the conversations, and you're so right that so many women want to know what men want. What do you think? We are ready. Women are in a position. The majority of us are in position. We are ready for that relationship. We are ready to do what's right, but we have to understand you and ourselves and vice versa. So I really appreciate you all doing that room. I'm definitely going to come in and check you guys out again because it is very important. And I'm glad that we're having these conversations now because they're definitely needed, especially for the kids that are out here. They need an example, and other couples need examples. We don't have a lot of couple dates and couple evenings and things like that. Right. And another thing, and I wanted to mention to the ladies, is that we have to let men be themselves. Ladies, we have to do that. We have to let them be themselves. If we want them to lead, we have to trust them to do that. Okay, we're not their mothers. We have to trust them to do that. They may not have it figured out, but if he loves you and he's willing to do whatever the case, then you have to take what it is that he's giving you. He's not some grandmaster and that can just wave his wand and give you what you want at that particular time. But if you exercise that patience and just, listen to them, be there for them and be receptive in heart and in mind, things will work out perfectly. They really will. So I appreciate that, Frank. And so where can people follow you if they want to hear more about you on social media or what have you?
Sure. I'm on almost all social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. If you search my name, my government name, Frank Rivers, or if you search View from the Man Cave, you'll pull me up on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as well, View from the Man Cave. I'm on Twitter, View from Man Cave. And I'm on Clubhouse as well. If you look me up, Frank Rivers on Clubhouse, I'll be there. You'll find me. My email address as well. frankjrivers@gmail.com. If you have any questions about anything, you have some things that you kind of want to run through. Somebody else have some fresh eyes on something, or you just want to comment and say, "Hey, Frank, I love what you're doing. Keep going." You can email me there. But yeah, you made a lot of great points, and I love your show. I love what you're doing. And I just want ladies to just rest. When you rest in your femininity, it opens everything up for you. A lot of ladies out here are saying, hey, Frank, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm with this guy. I love him. I'm doing all this for him, but I just don't know. You know what I mean? I bought him this. I paid for this trip. I did this. I'm doing all these things that he says he likes. You know what I mean? But I just don't know where his heart is at. And, when you're in your feminine, you're going and you rest in that, it's going to open him up to display his masculine. And if he can't display that, then you already have your answer. So, create the stage for him to go up there and perform. You know what I mean? And if he can't perform, then he's probably not the one for you. So just rest in that, trust it. I know it's hard to trust it. I know it's hard to kind of take your hands off it because you do so much, in your personal life and in your business life, you're hands on, you're doing great things. But sometimes, in relationships, you have to be vulnerable and you have to take your hands off and say, okay, look, I need to watch him, see what he does. I need to let him lead and let him show me where he's trying to take this thing. And if it's somewhere that I don't feel comfortable with going, if I don't trust it based off things that he hasn't done, then he's giving you the answer that you need.
You are so right. And again, Frank, I want to thank you for joining me this evening. I just want to say I love what you're doing. You definitely have a fan in me. I am listening to your shows. I'm going to definitely check you out more often on Clubhouse. Just for the listeners to know, that's how actually I found out about Frank. I was listening to a feminine group, I want to say, and I heard his perspective. And I said, I just have to have him on the show so that we can talk about this. So I just want to thank you. And I wish View from the Man Cave all the best from now and here on out. And maybe we can get back together in the future sometime.
Absolutely. I would love that. You let me know and we'll schedule it and I'll be there.
Thanks again. And that's our show for tonight. Thank you all for hanging out with us this evening. I will add all of Frank's social handles and his things in the show notes. And if you're on Clubhouse, you can find me as well at Shena LV. Also visit my blog at shenalv.com/blog and share your thoughts on this episode and others. And I will see you next time.
You've just listened to another episode of Owning She with Shena LV. Check your favorite podcast platforms for our past episodes and be sure to subscribe for new ones. Want to be a guest on the show? Visit www.shenalv.com/contact. And remember to always own she.